Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing Grow a Garden on Roblox, and this is my second video in the game. I already know a little about how everything works, but there's still a lot to discover. So today we're going to grow our garden, collect crops, make some money, and see how much we can improve our farm. We start with a pretty simple garden, and there's still a lot of empty space. So the first thing I want to do is get some seeds and start planting. Without crops, there is no money, and without money, we can't buy better seeds or improve our garden. I head over to the seed area to see what we can buy. There are different options available, and I'm trying to decide what makes the most sense. We don't have a huge amount of money, so I can't just buy everything I see. I need to spend the coins carefully and make sure every seed is useful. After getting our seeds, I return to the garden and start planting. It's satisfying seeing the empty soil slowly turn into a real farm. At first, the garden doesn't look like much, but that's the whole point of the game. We start small and slowly build everything up. Now we have to wait for the plants to grow, but I don't want to stand around doing nothing. I start looking around the area and checking what else we can do. There are different shops and stations nearby, including places where we can sell our crops and get more coins. Once the plants are ready, it's time to collect them. This is where all the work finally starts paying off. I gather the crops and take them over to sell them. The more we grow, the more money we can make, and that money can then go straight back into the garden. I'm already thinking about expanding the farm because we have plenty of empty space. If we can fill more of it with useful crops, we should be able to make money much faster. But first, we need enough seeds to take advantage of all that space. I also noticed different areas around the map that I haven't really explored yet. There are special locations, other players, and different features that could become important later. So I'm going to keep checking everything as we continue playing. I also want to make sure we're using every opportunity to earn more coins. If we can keep the garden producing while we're exploring, we'll be able to upgrade much faster. The plan is to keep planting, collecting, selling, and reinvesting the money into the next round of seeds. Slowly, the garden should become bigger and more profitable. For now, the main goal is simple: grow as many crops as possible, sell them, and use the money to buy better seeds. It sounds easy, but the more I play, the more I realize there are a lot of things to manage. Our garden is slowly starting to look better, and that's already a good sign. We went from almost nothing to having several crops growing, and now we can start building a real farm. There's still a lot more I want to try, including different seeds, bigger crops, and some of the special features around the map. This is only the beginning of the adventure, so let's keep growing our garden and see how far we can take it. Now that we've started building our garden, it's time to keep the progress going. We already planted our first crops, collected some harvest, and made our first money. But I don't want to stop there. The goal now is to make the garden bigger and find better ways to earn coins. I start by checking the crops we already have growing. Some are ready to harvest, while others still need more time. Instead of waiting around, I look at what we can do next. The more plants we have growing at the same time, the more often we can collect them and turn them into money. I head back to the seed shop to see what is available. Now that we've earned some coins, we have a few more options. I'm looking through the different seeds and trying to decide which ones are worth buying. I don't want to spend all our money at once, because we still need coins for future purchases. After choosing the seeds, I return to the garden and plant them in the empty spaces. The garden is already starting to look much better. Instead of a few plants surrounded by empty soil, we're slowly filling the whole area with crops. While waiting for everything to grow, I take some time to look around the map. Grow a Garden has more going on than just planting seeds, and I want to understand what the different areas are for. There are other players working on their own gardens, and it's interesting to see how much bigger some of their farms already are. That also gives me a goal. I want our garden to eventually look just as impressive, but we're going to have to work for it. The best way to get there is to keep reinvesting our money instead of spending it randomly. Some of the crops are ready again, so I go around collecting everything. This part is satisfying because we can immediately see the results of all the planting we did earlier. After collecting the harvest, I take it to sell and watch our coins increase. Now we have more money to work with, which means we can buy more seeds. I'm starting to see how the whole system works. Planting gives us crops, crops give us money, and the money lets us buy more seeds. The more efficiently we repeat that process, the faster the garden can grow. I decide to keep expanding instead of saving all the money. There is still a lot of empty space, and leaving it unused doesn't help us. So I buy more seeds and start planting again. The garden is slowly becoming more colorful, and it already looks completely different compared with the beginning. We started with a few simple plants, and now we're building something that actually looks like a proper farm. But I know there are still better seeds and bigger opportunities waiting for us. We're only getting started, and I want to see how far we can take this garden. For now, I'm going to keep collecting, selling, and planting. Every harvest gives us another chance to upgrade, and every new seed brings us closer to having a much bigger and better farm. The progress may seem slow at first, but that's what makes it satisfying. We're building everything from the ground up, one crop at a time. If we keep going like this, our garden could become much more impressive by the end of this adventure. Our garden is getting bigger, and now I want to take the next step. We've planted several crops, collected our harvest, and earned enough money to keep expanding. But if we want this garden to become successful, we need to use our space wisely. I begin by checking the plants that are already growing. Some are ready to harvest, so I collect them and sell everything we can. It's satisfying to see the coins increase after all the work we've done. That money is going straight back into the garden because we still have empty space to fill. I head over to the seed shop again and look through the available options. This time I'm paying more attention to which seeds are worth buying. We don't want to waste our money, so I'm choosing seeds that can help us earn more and improve the garden. After buying the new seeds, I return to our plot and start planting. The empty spaces are slowly disappearing, and the garden is beginning to look much more organized. Every new plant makes the farm feel a little more complete. While the crops are growing, I decide to explore the surrounding area. I don't want to focus only on our garden. Exploring can help us discover useful features and other things we can do. I also notice how quickly some other players have developed their gardens. Some farms already look huge compared with ours. That gives me even more motivation to keep improving. We're still at the beginning, but there's no reason why our garden can't become just as impressive. After exploring for a while, I return to check the crops. Some of them are already ready, so I collect another harvest. This is where the whole system becomes satisfying. We plant seeds, wait for them to grow, collect the crops, sell them, and then use the money to buy more seeds. I'm starting to understand why the garden can grow quickly once you get the process working. More crops mean more money, and that money can go straight back into the farm. I decide to use some of our new earnings to expand again. There are still spaces that could be filled, so I don't want to leave them empty. More plants mean more chances to make money, and eventually we should be able to afford better seeds. We started with just a few simple plants, and now there are crops growing all over the plot. It may still be smaller than some gardens around us, but we're definitely making progress. I'm also realizing that patience is a big part of the game. Not every crop grows instantly, and sometimes the best thing to do is prepare the next part of the garden while waiting. That way we're always working towards something. For now, I'm going to keep the same strategy, collect everything that's ready, sell the harvest, buy useful seeds, and keep expanding the garden. If we stay consistent, our farm should become much more valuable. Better seeds, bigger crops, and new features could change how our garden works. So let's keep planting, keep earning, and see how far we can take this garden. The garden is starting to look much better, but I don't want to stop here. We've planted plenty of crops, earned some coins, and learned how important it is to keep the garden active. Now it's time to push our progress further and see what we can build. I want this garden to become bigger with every harvest, so there is no time to waste. I start by checking every plant in the garden. Some crops are ready, while others still need time. I collect everything available and sell the harvest. The extra coins give us more freedom when we visit the seed shop again. This time, I'm trying to be more careful with my purchases. There are many different seeds, but buying everything would quickly empty our balance. I want to choose useful seeds and leave enough money for the next round of planting. After making my choices, I return to the garden and start planting. The empty spaces are slowly disappearing, and our farm is becoming much more colorful. It feels completely different from the small garden we had at the beginning. While the new crops are growing, I look around the map. There are other players everywhere, and some of their gardens are already much bigger than ours. Those farms make me want to keep improving. I also check the different areas nearby. Grow a garden isn't only about planting seeds. There are other features around the map, and I want to understand how they can help us later. After a little while, I notice that more plants are ready. I collect them and bring the harvest to sell. Our balance starts going up again, which means we can continue expanding without waiting too long. This is the part of the game I really like. Every action leads to the next one. We plant the seeds, the crops grow, we collect them, sell them, and then use the money to buy more seeds. If we keep repeating that process, the garden becomes bigger and more profitable. I decide to fill another empty section of the plot. Instead of leaving the space unused, I plant more crops there. Our garden is now much fuller than it was at the beginning. There are still better crops I want to unlock, and I'm curious to see which ones will make the biggest difference to our farm. I'm also trying not to spend every coin immediately. Having some money saved can be useful if we find a seed or upgrade that is better than what we're currently using. So I'm keeping a balance between expanding now and saving for later. Building a good garden takes patience. Some crops take time, but watching the farm slowly grow makes the work worth it. For now, I'll keep harvesting everything that becomes ready, selling the crops, and putting the earnings back into the garden. We're still far from having the biggest farm, but we're making steady progress. There are still more seeds to discover, more space to fill, and plenty of upgrades waiting ahead. This garden started small, but if we keep working on it, I think we can turn it into something really impressive. Let's keep growing and see what happens next. The garden has come a long way, and this is where I want to finish. We started with almost nothing, and now our plot is filled with crops, we've earned a lot more coins, and we have a much better idea of how the game works. I start by checking which plants are ready and collect everything I can. Seeing the garden full of plants makes a huge difference compared with the beginning. Every filled space has become another source of money, and now our garden is producing crops much more often. After collecting the harvest, I head over to sell everything. We now have enough to think about another round of upgrades. I'm not going to spend the money randomly. I want to make sure that whatever we buy actually helps the garden become more productive. I visit the seed shop and take another look at the available seeds. There are several interesting options, and I'm trying to decide which ones make the most sense for our farm. Some seeds may take longer to grow, but they could be worth it if they give us a better harvest. I return to the garden and start planting again. The garden is getting crowded, but in a good way. We're using the space much better now, and there are fewer empty areas than before. While waiting for the new crops, I take a look around the map again. Other players are still working on their own gardens, and it's interesting to compare our progress. Some farms are huge, showing how much bigger this game can become. I'm starting to understand that Grow a Garden is all about building a cycle that keeps getting stronger. You plant crops, wait for them to grow, collect the harvest, sell it, and then use the money to plant even more. Once you have enough crops growing at the same time, the progress becomes much faster. I check our garden again and, of course, some plants are already ready. I collect another harvest and sell it. Every time our balance increases, we're getting closer to the next level. I keep planting whenever we have enough seeds so we don't waste the empty spaces. Slowly, the whole garden is becoming one big working farm instead of just a few separate plants. Looking back at the beginning, the difference is clear. We started with a simple garden and only a small amount of money. Now we have more crops, more experience, and a much better understanding of what we should be doing. There are still things I haven't discovered yet. I want to try more seeds and find out how far we can take this garden. There are still features around the map that I need to explore, so this definitely isn't the end. I'm happy with the progress we've made. The garden is growing, the money is coming in, and every harvest helps us improve. Building a huge farm takes time, but that's what makes the progress satisfying. We aren't simply buying everything at once, we're slowly building the garden from the ground up. I also want to save some money for future opportunities instead of spending everything immediately. So for now, I'm trying to keep the garden growing while also preparing for the next stage. So that's where we're going to finish this part of Grow a Garden. We planted, harvested, earned money, expanded the farm, and made a lot of progress. There is still much more to discover, and I definitely want to continue this adventure. If you enjoyed the video, stay tuned for the next part. We'll keep growing the garden, unlocking better things, and seeing how far we can take our farm. Thanks for watching.